Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bruce Foray, and I'm the founder and CEO of Broadmax Group. We're a new consulting company, and we focus on marketing, communications, and strategy. Follow us on LinkedIn to learn more about us, broadmaxgroup.com. So enough of that. We have more important things to talk about today. And first of all, I want to say thank you very much for joining us. We know your time is valuable, but we're confident that we have some important things to share with you today. They're going to make a difference in your work environment. And 2020, what a crazy year, right? We're having to deal with a pandemic and a new virtual lifestyle, a new virtual way of conducting business. And some of the challenges that I'm sure a lot of you are facing out there deal with productivity, focus, and engagement. Well, today we're going to show you about an idea, an opportunity to kind of change on that. And I'm going to introduce you now to Mr. Garcia, Mr. Alberto Garcia Jurado. He's the CEO of Nsync, and he's a pioneer of something called human collaboration. And we're going to go to Alberto right now to tell us more about it. Alberto.
Thank you, Bruce. Thanks for the intro. And you know, you're one of the few people who actually get my last name right, Garcia Jurado. So you can tell we've known each other for a while now.
Pleasure, Alberto. What do you have for us today? What are you going to share with everybody out there about mastering true collaboration?
Yes. Well, here's the thing. You know, we, like you said, Bruce, we've been going through a huge process of evolution in the last months. I think we've evolved in the way we do business, in the way we work as teams, in the marketplace itself, what clients are looking for, all this. I think we've evolved more in the last 4 months than we had done in the last 10 years. Not because we want to, but because we have to, right? So a lot of things are changing and we're changing with them. I can see a lot of companies changing their technology, the way they sell, the way they get their products to market, the way they consider their markets themselves. So everything is evolving. So right now, but one of the things that we're kind of not evolving as fast as we should be and is not catching up with everything else is how we're changing our human systems. And that's what we're going to talk about today, human systems and collaboration systems. And even the word itself sometimes, you know, it gets people the wrong way. They go, what do you mean human systems? So let's get into it, okay, shall we? Now, with all these challenges, the way we've been trying to address collaboration and enhance collaboration has been through technology. We are bringing more and more apps, platforms, and we're surrounded by them. Like right now, Zoom, but we also have all the new, you know, like Monday and Microsoft Teams and all those new platforms. And every day they're coming up with new ones. But here's the shocking part. There are a lot of studies that are showing that all these IT solutions are actually not helping productivity, but actually hurting productivity. And there are many other studies that are coming out with Harvard and many other very well-recognized institutions that are showing that we're going through what they call collaborative overload. We're now surrounded by so much information that we're actually becoming less productive. And that is because we have a basic misunderstanding. True collaboration is not about platforms or apps. Platforms and apps and all these tools, wonderful tools, don't get me wrong, they're great tools, but they are designed for exchanging information or for communicating. And let me just say this is so important. Information exchange and communication are very important, but they are just part of what collaboration is. We have this concept that we think that the more we communicate, the better we're collaborating, and it's not so. Actually, collaboration is about people engaging in processes like having meetings, sending messages, making phone calls. All these are collaborative processes using technology to connect and to provide results. In the end, the people, the processes, the technology, everything is there for one reason, if we can all agree on that, is to provide results, to give the necessary outcomes so that our business can meet the challenges and continue growing. That's what all this is about. And if we see it like that, then we understand one first reality. It's actually a system. It's a system made up of all those elements. And that is designed, it's working there at full speed to produce outcomes. Now, this is the moment right now. It's a critical time to rethink collaboration. Just like we're rethinking everything else, we have to rethink our basic concept of collaboration and accept that it is a system and that this system right now is overloaded with tools. And because we've put so many tools in there without looking at what those tools are doing to the other parts of the system, it is out of balance. And not only that, it has few fundamentals. What do I mean by few fundamentals? Well, let me tell you an example. I always ask this question when I'm doing a training, or when people say, oh no, we got the fundamentals. I tell them, okay, you all use email, right? And everybody goes, yeah, we use email. I say, okay, when you have to fill out a message and you're preparing to send a message, the first field you have to fill out is to, who you're sending it to. Then you got, current copy, CC, and subject, all those. Do you have the proper standards for knowing how to fill out those fields? Do you have the operational standards for operating those fields? And people just look at me like blank. They go like, what do you mean? Because what we're doing with collaboration is we provide the tools, but we're not providing the fundamentals and the models to use those tools. We just think that people are going to use them out of common sense, and that out of their common sense, they're going to use it effectively, efficiently, which is crazy. It's so crazy that right now, after almost 18 years of doing initial collaboration system assessments, we go in there and we assess how the collaboration system is operating. This is the average. And we're talking about all kinds of organizations, from oil companies all the way to churches, okay? And we're talking about 46% effectiveness, 6% efficiency, 0% alignment, 0% alignment because there's usually nothing to align with. 3% continuous improvement, and 12% clarity of objectives. And I want to reinforce this. If the whole system is there to produce results, but there's only a 12% clarity of objectives that my team has to meet this month, or objectives that I have to meet this week, well, that just tells you how the rest of the system is working. And how do we have this? I mean, in the assessment, we ask a very simple question, and you might want to try this with your teams. Okay, it'll be an eye-opener. The question is very simple: can you tell me what tangible deliverables or results your team has to provide the company or the business this month? And the other question, just as simple: can you tell me, not what you're going to do, I know you know what you're going to do, can you tell me what you have to deliver to the team this week? The average index of clarity to that question is 19%. So that's some of the challenges we're facing. So how do we address those challenges? What is Nsync? Okay, let me tell you. Nsync is the result of 18 years of research and development, testing and implementation, but not from an IT perspective. We did not start this as information technology experts. It's not about exchanging information. We started it from a human systems perspective, understanding how humans work, how we humans operate. Okay, so that was it. And what did we do? We gathered benchmark behaviors. Do you know that there are 4 behaviors that are common to 80% or more of the most competitive cultures in the world? And we found them, and they are part of the models that we created. And we also took proven methodologies like Lean and Kaizen. That usually you think of Lean, Kaizen, this kind of words, and when you think of those, you think of factories, you think of production. But no, they are perfectly applicable to everything. I myself lived with Japanese 7 years of my life, and learning Kendo, the Japanese art of the sword. And one of my great teachers used to tell me, Kaizen is very misunderstood. Here we think Kaizen is the Toyota way. Toyota does this. When in reality, in Japan, we know Kaizen means doing it better. That's all it means. It means that you have to find ways of doing everything better every day. Basically, continuous improvement, okay? But not only that, through the years, we've done dozens of successful implementations in all kinds of organizations. Okay, oil, this is an example from oil. This was a huge organization, and we took one of their offshore units, 7,000 people strong. And in less than a year and a half, they were all working beautifully. They were totally based on outcomes, aligned with their business goals. It was just amazing. 7,000 people strong, year and a half. So how do we do it? And how can you do it? How do you operate the collaboration system? Well, simple. Once you understand it's a system, it becomes easy to understand how to operate it. And usually when we try to say, oh, we need to integrate better, to collaborate better, what do? We do team building exercises, or we tell everybody we have to understand each other better. And we talk about leadership, and we talk about, honesty and transparency. Those are all very important things. But because we never address the fundamentals, the operational and structural fundamentals, everything that we do there has a great impact, but is limited, and it doesn't remain as much as we would like to. Why? Because we go to a team building exercise, we'll feel great with each other, but we go back to a team organization that has the same fundamentals and nothing has changed. So 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month down the road, we're back to the same old, same old. So this actually begins at what we call the operational level. Operational because that's where you can see collaboration actually happening. And that's in the processes. You can see the meetings happening, the emails going back and forth, the projects going on, the phone calls being made, okay? And all of those supported by technology, by tools, cell phones, computers, everything that we use, software, all that. And here there's a big shocker that we discovered after several years of implementing and studying how the systems were working. We found out, and here please, everybody who's listening or who's joining us today, let's go to your own personal experiences. We found that 3 processes take up 90% of all collaboration time and effort in almost any team. And those 3 are meetings. Imagine that it's tomorrow and you go into your office 9 o'clock sharp, or you're virtual and you get online 9 o'clock sharp, and you got your 8 hours ahead of you. If you take out the time dedicated to meetings, the time dedicated to messaging, texts, emails, WhatsApps, whatever, and the time you dedicate to your internal, to delivering whatever you need for internal projects, that's 90% of your collaboration time right there. So here's the key, one of the first keys. If you really formalize and integrate those 3, meetings, messaging, and small project management, you got your operational part of your system aligned. And what you have to accomplish with those 3 is make sure that they are integrated. That if I have a meeting with you and then I have another meeting with somebody else from the company, the meeting is operated under the same fundamentals. Meetings are run with the same basic structure and fundamentals. People think this is stifling. No, on the contrary, this is creates a lot of agility, because if the form is unified, then we don't have to worry about the form. We can focus on the substance. You know what I mean? So it's like they have to be integrated. The models have to make sure that everything is focused on effectiveness and efficiency, that they are run effectively, that we have the right tools for each process, and that they're all focused on value outcomes. I can't tell you how many times when we do an assessment of a collaboration system, whenever it's required, and I participate in a meeting to observe, to see what's happening there, and I ask them a very simple question. Can you tell me, I asked the attendees separately, can you tell me what are the tangible, deliverable, or deliverables that this meeting is supposed to produce for the business? Nobody knows. Everybody can tell me what they're going to discuss, what the meeting is about, but if you tell them what is the tangible outcome that has to be produced from this meeting, that's what we mean by focused on value outcomes. That you don't create this kind of processes unless they're focused on tangible value outcomes.
And Alberto,
yes, go ahead.
When you share that with them, what is the reaction about that from the people you present that to, challenging them about the value outcomes?
Well, when they're faced with that question and they start doing the answers, and then I share what everybody said, and by the way, a lot of people just say different things about the same meeting, they're just big embarrassed smiles all over the place and go like, oh my goodness, oh.
Is there kind of like an aha moment that takes place? Oh, okay, we're supposed to be focused on that instead.
Yeah, they go like, okay, so that's what you mean with outcome-based, okay? So yeah, it's that kind of things. Or the right tools for each process. And here I'd like to share an anecdote. I had to do a big project for one of their clients. They're seamless steel pipe, and they're out of Houston. And I had to do with their Canada operation, I had to do a series of trainings for over 300 people. It was a 3-week project, and I had to be in three cities in Canada, Calgary, Edmonton, and Toronto. And the people in HR started organizing the whole project through email, sharing emails back and forth. Probably you've gone through that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, let's do this, and the airplane tickets and this. And at one moment I told everybody, you know, guys, why don't we all have one single meeting? We set up a project Gantt chart, a project chart where we all set the steps and everything we need. And then we run from there, and they were going, oh no, we don't have time for that, forget it. Emails back and forth. Let me just tell you, first day, I take off from San Antonio, get off in the plane in Calgary. I go through immigration, and the first thing that happens, Sunday afternoon, we're starting the next Monday, immigration says, you don't have a paper that you need because you're coming here to work. So here I am, stuck in immigration, calling the people from HR on a Sunday and telling them, I need this paper, and here they are, trying to find the legal guy on a Sunday to get the document, to fax it or email it to the guys in immigration so they let me into the country. And that was just one of the things that happened. Why? Because we were using the wrong tools and the wrong process for the kind of outcome we needed.
Yeah,
there were no standards, no model. Okay.
Very interesting example there. Yeah.
Yeah. And like that, I can give you hundreds, and you probably have your own, you know? So right tools, right process for the necessary outcome. You know, if it's a project, manage it like a project. Don't manage it like a conversation. So, but that's the big issue. Right now, we're expecting our people, our teams, our people in the company to get to those conclusions on their own and to somehow magically integrate because we're asking them to. No, it's the responsibility of the company to provide those models, to provide those fundamentals so people can come together. Okay. And then once we do that, there's another hugely important issue, hugely, how we manage objectives. This is so important. If we, we make sure everything is delivered, is focused on value outcomes, value objectives. But then we have to integrate how that is done to ensure one very simple thing, to ensure that everyone delivers what's needed and that they do it on time. Let me repeat that because it's so important. The fundamental, the cornerstone for effective collaboration systems, for effective collaboration is not trust, it's not leadership, it's not all that. They are very important, but the cornerstone, the precondition is making sure that everyone delivers what's needed and that they deliver it on time. That is the cornerstone for collaboration. Think about your own experience. How many issues in collaboration happen because either somebody didn't deliver what was expected or they didn't deliver it on time? It's going to be probably about 70% of all issues in collaboration that happen every day. So that's the precondition. This is where it really begins. And to achieve that is also not that hard once you understand it's a system. It's aligning the objective management process. It's a process, and it just has 2 steps. It's actually quite a simple process. So somebody requires an outcome. Maybe it's a client, maybe it's another unit, maybe it's a colleague. Somebody requires an outcome. When an outcome is required, that generates a series of objectives that different people have to achieve, right? So what do you do there? You have to have a unified model for doing 2 things. Setting those objectives, and there you need to make sure that you set that those objectives have 3 critical characteristics, that they are clear. And by clear, I just mean in writing, tangible, and with a specific deadline for delivering. Those 3 things. If an objective is not tangible, is not in writing, and doesn't have delivery dates, it's not a valid objective. It's just pre-programmed confusion. And then once you make sure that everybody's establishing objectives with those 3 conditions, then it's how do we manage those objectives for 2 things. To be sure that they are managed effectively and efficiently, so that what? So that everyone delivers what's needed on time. That's it, 2 steps, setting them and then managing them. And by the way, what Nsync does and what you should ideally have for any process you have, any system, is to have reliable, permanent metrics on the effectiveness, the efficiency, the quality and productivity in delivering those outcomes from everybody. Okay. Today in the morning, I open up in the Nsync model. We have something called the outcome management matrix that you, Bruce, are so familiar with. Okay. And today I can tell you today, Thursday, my effectiveness in delivering the 8 outcomes I had to deliver to the company as CEO this week. I had 8 outcomes to deliver, tangible outcomes. My effectiveness as of today is 97%, and my efficiency 92%, showing off a little bit here. Okay. And I know exactly how many. I still have 4 more deliverables to produce between today and tomorrow. So that's clarity. And I know that about me. I manage myself with those metrics, with that objectivity. And I know those metrics for everybody that is my direct report and for everybody in the team. We work smartly. Have you heard the term work smart, not hard? Well, working smartly cannot be done without data, without numbers.
Right. And so what is one of the things, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it, correct? So
Absolutely.
you need
Yeah,
data. We're a data-driven society these days, and this seems like this is a good method that you have to gather data just to measure the collaboration and, as you said, the key word, effectiveness of your team.
yeah, and not only that, to manage myself. I can tell you that without my matrix and without me having that clarity every day and knowing exactly how I'm doing, I'd be lost because I'd be just guessing how I'm doing. You know? So anyway, there's no high performance team, not in basketball, not in sports, not in the military, not anywhere that is not data driven. You know?
Exactly. That's where we're at today
Yeah.
in our work environment, our work culture, right?
And we need to move forward in that, to work smart. So how does this work in Nsync? I just gave you the key. If you can manage that, first level, 3 processes, integrate them, make them focused on tangible outcomes and make them effective and efficient, and then manage your outcomes. Make sure that the way you set them, that every outcome is in writing, it's tangible, and it has a delivery date, and then make sure you manage those outcomes effectively and efficiently. You're good. Your collaboration system is going to be outstanding. Now we can help you because we got the preset tools, the more than proven models, and we reached a level of efficiency in doing that you wouldn't believe. In Nsync, we have a 100% online solution. And in reality, we got into such a place of simplicity that we can do that in 8 hours total of training. It's messaging. We train the people on the models for messaging, okay? And then meetings, and that the messaging is just 2 hours, meeting is just 3 hours. It's mind-blowing, just 5 hours total. And don't get me wrong, it's not about changing, it's not about adding more work. You're already doing all that. You already have all those messages flying back and forth. You already have all those meetings happening. On the contrary, it's about providing the norms, the standards, the fundamentals so people integrate and actually get rid of a lot of those that are not adding value. It's about integrating operational discipline and excellence through 2 models. And then managing outcomes. How do we all manage those outcomes? With some very simple models and tools, just 3 hours. 8 hours total. Okay, that's it. And the process itself, the model itself, just requires 40 minutes per week to operate. Because everything else is not about doing more, it's about doing it integrated, more effectively, more efficiently as a true team. Actually, you end up doing way less. There are reductions in volumes of messaging between 30 to up to 60%. Imagine that. I can tell you, I personally, every day from the company, get no more than 3, maybe 4 emails per day, tops. And do you know what that does to my quality of life? Meetings, we usually get rid of about 20 to 30% of all meetings that happen.
Yeah,
and everything that does happen is effective.
Yeah, that should really resonate with all those out there who get like 50 emails a day. It almost feels like your job is managing emails rather than doing work. So to be able to trim on the amount of emails that come through and actually work and get things done, that would just be, a great thing to be able to embrace and to be able to achieve, I think.
Emails and meetings. We did a survey, Bruce, we did a survey in April. We were concerned about all the changes. We did an international survey on the state of remote collaboration, and it came out shockingly. Well, you've seen it. it turns out that 75% of everybody is working longer hours now from home than what they were used to working at the office. And one of the big issues was excess meetings, messaging, phone calls, all hours of the day. So that's taking a big toll on engagement, on productivity, on many things.
You know, you bring up a good point, Alberto, because I guess in our virtual work environment, you know, we feel like we have to almost do those things even more, email, message, to stay in contact. But it sounds like just by applying your methodology here, you can still continue to realize time savings and efficiencies and collaboration, even in our virtual world that we live in now, right?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, one of the huge benefits of Nsync is it becomes the models are designed so that collaboration happens exactly the same whether you're in person or remotely. And for example, since we all set our outcomes, not our activities, we all set our program, our outcomes at the start of the week. I just take a look at the matrices, outcome matrices of my reports. I see what they're programming to produce. We coordinate, and then we're good to go the rest of the week. Smart leadership, effective leadership does not manage activity. Smart leadership manages outcomes. That's hugely important nowadays.
Excellent.
Okay. So anyway, here's a sample of the average results from what we saw to after Nsync implementation. That should give you an idea. Okay. Listen to this. This is a CIMA Corporation. Individual matrices have done their job and mistakes have declined and productivity has improved markedly. We have seen in amazement how people are dedicated to working more focused on achieving their goals. There are virtually no more reprocesses in areas where it used to be very common to see them. Reprocess means we did it, it came out wrong, we have to do it again. It's amazing. I can tell you that productivity goes through the roof with this kind of thing. Stress goes way down, and engagement, because everybody knows what they have to produce, engagement goes also sky high. Okay. And I just want to close. Like I said, I studied Kendo for many, many years with a wonderful, wonderful Japanese teacher, Dr. Takahiko Seo. He was a colonel in World War II. He came from a lineage of 540 years of samurai family. Can you imagine that? Japanese nobility. He had this beautiful katana, a sword, that was 300 years old and is cataloged as a national treasure of Japan. He passed away many years ago, and now his son has the sword. And I still remember one time when we were in the dojo, the place of training, and he was talking about the sword, and we were saying what a wonderful sword it was. And he said, yeah, but that's not what's important. And he said, you know, I can lend you my sword, which he would never do. It was like sacred. So I can lend you my sword, and I can take a broomstick and kill you, even if you have this wonderful, amazing sword. And we believed him too. And he said, the sword is never as important as the hand that wields it. It's not about the sword, it's about the person who uses the sword. And I would like to close by saying this. It's time we take a look at our human system again, that we reevaluate our human system and pay attention to the human system and provide our human system the fundamentals they urgently need to integrate better and achieve true collaboration. Because again, no, it doesn't matter how much technology you give your team, how much tools you give them, it'll never be as important as integrating at a human level, our assumptions, the way we understand things and do things. That's what Nsync does. It's not an app, it's not technology, it's human technology, human integration, okay, at a human level.
Very important. We need that now more than ever, Alberto.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Let me ask you, you know, for full transparency, I've used Alberto's system before with a previous employer and saw a lot of change, more productivity, more effectiveness, all the things he's talked about, I've experienced myself. But, you know, one thing that it is for sure is a paradigm shift from what we've been used to doing for years and years and years. You know, how do you help overcome that, I guess, that fear or concern that people may have about changing the way they've been doing things forever into this new method that's actually more effective, but it's just different?
Well, one of the things that we tell them, and this kind of puts people at ease, I'll tell them, we're not teaching you anything new. You're already doing all that. And let me tell you why. I tell them, okay, you got your budget, right? Everybody's got a budget in their company. Do you just tell people, here's the budget, use your common sense with it? Of course not. We provide guidelines, we have rules, we have controls, we have all that. Or let's say you have a product. Do you just tell people, and you have quality control, you're producing something and you have quality control. Do you tell people, okay, this is quality, just use your common sense, try to get quality? Of course not. We provide quality standards, quality norms, quality controls. In anything that we do in almost every other aspect of what we're doing as a business, we know the value of standards, norms, metrics, controls, keeping track. We know you can't have a formal, high-performing environment without that, except in the collaboration system. What we tell them is, this is nothing new. The only problem is you're just not doing here what you're doing in everywhere else in your business. And it's creating no end of pain and cost and heartache for everybody.
Yeah, you're right. I think a lot of people that, working from home, you think it's going to have more leisure time, but my personal experience, you end up working more, longer hours, less lunch break, whatever. So you want to be the most effective you can during the workday, so you can go back to resuming as much of a normal life as possible and having a good experience. Now, let's go ahead and take some questions right now. We appreciate everybody that's participating in our conversation. And we're using a poll everywhere right now that you can write a question in and ask Alberto something that's on your mind. And let's go to Marcia Wells, who asks, Alberto, how much extra work does this create for everyone in the workplace?
And again, it's not about that, because all that work's already being done. You're having all that activity already. Your collaboration system is running at full speed right now as we speak in your teams, in your organizations. On the contrary, it's about streamlining it. It's about integrating it, organizing it, formalizing it, and streamlining it. So it's actually going to reduce the amount of activity you have. The only thing that takes up a little bit of time is managing outcomes through our tools and our matrix. But that takes 40 minutes per week. That's all it takes, 40 minutes per week. So it's 8 hours of training separated into the different programs and 40 minutes per week to implement. And the benefits are the savings in times and issues and everything is huge.
Right. We all have to go through training at work to get better and to learn new things and to be more effective in our job. So this is just another thing. But, I can add from a personal experience is that, once you get through your, your training, which I think is, very reasonable, 8 hours, you're really just in actually implementing your program. You're really just allocating time that you were spending, somewhere else, but becoming more effective. And I think in the long run, as you pointed out, Alberto, you actually end up saving time in a lot of areas. By
huge amounts of time. And the 8 hours are not just 8 hours. It's like one workshop is 3 hours. Then then the team implements, they get the hang of it. Then another workshop is 2 hours. They get the hang of it, they implement, and then another 3 hours. Everything online, super dynamic, totally practical. People leave there ready to apply,
Okay, Robert Foster has a good question. He wants to know those 8 hours you mentioned for the training to integrate. Does this apply to a company any size? Or I guess if it's smaller, is there less time, larger, more time? Tell us more about that, Alberto.
No, it just depends on how many people and it's how many trainings you have to do. But this is the training, this is for a training of up to 25 people in a team, okay? Now, of course, if you have over 25, because even though it's online, it's very dynamic. Everybody's participating, doing exercise, applying the standards, using the tools. So actually it takes up a little bit of time. So it's very hands-on. So that's why we have a limit, because although it's online, the worst thing we want to do is have the teacher there talking, or the instructor there, talking for half an hour or 30 minutes. No, it's hands-on, it's doing. So it all depends on how many people, but for a team of up to 25 people, that's the process. Now, how many of those teams do you have? Well, then it's multiplied by, of course.
Okay, William Furstenberg has asked a few questions. Let's get to one of them right now. He wants to know, what would be the first safe step to start? What do you need to do to kind of get going? How do you implement this in a workplace?
Okay, here it's a tricky question, because as you can see, it's very modular. So different organizations have different pain points. I mean, these are pain points for everybody. Outcome management, meetings, messaging, projects, there are pain points for everybody. But there are some organizations that where we start talking, we have a conversation, a first conversation, they say, yeah, we don't have that much problem with meetings, we don't have those many meetings, but we're just swamped with messages. Okay, so the first step is let's get those messages under control. But some other companies will go like a real case scenario in a company, because they suddenly all went virtual. Some of the directors were asking for meetings every 2 hours. So suddenly you say, we got a big issue with meetings, so we address that. So it changes from business to business. We try to start by addressing the most critical pain points and getting the system under control by providing relief in those big pain points. Why? Because if this is one of the things that's really hurting the most, and you address it and you start seeing a big improvement, that just generates a desire to do more. And this is great. It's actually solving this key pain points. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So we have a question now from Roger Stevenson, and he wants to know how your system relates to Agile. Can you tell us more about that?
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful question, because let me tell you, everybody's trying to do Agile. Everybody in the corporate world is trying to do Agile, and I think we've lost kind of sight of what Agile is. A lot of people think that because they implemented what's called Scrum, and if anybody's trying to implement Agile, they'll know what I'm talking about, because they're implementing this tool called Scrum, that's Agile. No, Agile is something else. Really, Agile is an organization where people can come together across functions, across units, to solve issues or to address a problem. So that creates agility. Everybody can collaborate with everybody. So how does this work with Agile? I'll just tell you what a major oil company told us last year. When they saw this, they said, we're trying to implement Agile, and you just told us how to do it. This is it. This is where we're stuck, because we got all those Agile coaches all over the place, but we don't know what they're doing. And we got this Scrum happening all over the place, but we don't know what's going on there. This is the missing piece. We solve 60% of all we provide 60% of all the benchmark needs for addressing Agile. Almost everything to do with the human system.
Okay, good. All right, so we're running out of time, but we still have a couple of minutes to get your questions in. Please enter them at polleverywhere.com. You still have a couple of minutes to do that. Alberto, before we should also address, you mentioned a Gantt chart and entering in a matrix and things of this nature. Tell us a little bit more again about the tools that are available through Nsync that you can provide when you work with a client to help them keep track of this collaboration system.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, let me tell you, when we do the first training, we provide some basic tools in Excel, like Excel spreadsheets and things like that, so that the team can start applying. Okay, we're not trying to push anything as right now, but once you start applying and the team starts using it, you might want to migrate to the actual IT platform that we did create, but that's just so you have more agility in accessing the information and accessing all the data that comes out of the matrices, things like that. A matrix, what we call an outcome matrix, is a place where you just set down what you need to accomplish this week. It's not a to-do list. I would say it's a to-achieve list, okay? So you set down the deliverables you're gonna produce and which day of the week you're programming to produce each one of those. And then using that, you just keep track and start registering when you accomplish those, and it tells you automatically your effectiveness and efficiency. It lets everybody know what's still pending. If something's pending from last week, it just moves to the next week. So now you got a deliverable that's 2 weeks behind. You can address your priorities. It just lets you manage it beautifully. And it takes all of 40 minutes per week to manage, and it changes your life.
That sounds great, Alberto. I believe we're out of time right now, and and thank you for the opportunity to be able to part of your presentation, so you can share with others a great system for helping people collaborate and be more effective, especially during these challenging times that we're going through right now with virtual working and things of that nature. So if you want to learn more about Nsync, you can go to nsync.com. You see on your screen. You can also email Alberto directly at alberto@nsync.com. Hey, let's start the conversation. Let's get into mastering some true collaboration. Alberto, thank you very much. I'll let you leave with some parting words here.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. And I also want to thank you for being part of this. And you're great. If anybody needs to address their internal or external communication issues, he's the man, really.
Appreciate the plug. There you go.
Absolutely. So thank you for participating here. It's always a thrill. And thank you all for joining us. I hope we were able to provide a new insight and a different way of understanding the collaboration system that you have right now in your teams. and that we got you in the right direction in managing it and making it awesome. Okay, for a better life, more productive, less stress, just better all around. Thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of the week.